Over the years, football kits have become a staple of the game. The light blue of Manchester City, the iconic black and white stripes of Juventus, but they weren't always as we know them today. This is the history of the football kit, from then to now. Let's go back in time to the birth of football around 1870. The first ever football matches were played when there were no regulation kits. Players could often be seen wearing cricket whites, formal shirts and flannelettes. Some clubs even used caps and scarves to distinguish between teams. Professional football began in the 1880s, so clubs had to start putting together cheap uniform kits for their players. But it really was the bare minimum. Shirts with collars made of heavy cotton were brought into circulation. They had standard block colours and some even used laces at the neck. A few clubs adopted designs when the Football League was founded in 1888, using stripes and panels to create half and half designs on the shirts and sleeves. But back then there were still no official rules on kits. The first problem would come on the opening game of the 1890-91 season, when Wolverhampton Wanderers travelled to newly promoted Sunderland. Both teams arrived in shirts of red and white stripes, causing much confusion for fans, players and most importantly, the referee. The decision was made to make Wolves change into their all-white dress shirt and was the catalyst for a change to Football League kit rules. The league then required all clubs to have one of these all-white shirts as a backup in case of a colour clash. Over the next decade and heading into the 1900s, teams started to develop the standard kits we see today, each formulating their own unique designs and patterns. For example, QPR adopted their blue and white rings on their shirts. And as for goalkeepers, they would wear the same coloured shirts as the rest of the team. But can you imagine this when a ball went into the penalty area? It became almost impossible for the referee to determine whether there was a penalty incident or not. So in 1909, the FA rewrote the rules requiring goalkeepers to wear a shirt of white, red or blue, later introducing green, which quickly became the colour of choice. Sportswear manufacturer Umbro was the first to experiment with synthetic materials for kits. They came out with a shiny, reflective shirt for the 1953 Cup final. But the biggest innovations were coming from other parts of the world. Italy, the fashion capital of Europe. Warmer conditions called for lighter cottons to be used. South American manufacturers ditched the collars and buttons. They brought short sleeves and smarter fitted shirts. Take the Juventus kit from 1952 as a great example. V-necks came into fashion in the 50s with trendsetters such as the Hungary 1958 international kit. Football became more commercialised in the 1970s and 80s as clubs started to incorporate sponsor logos onto the fronts of the shirts, with one of the most notable being Liverpool sponsors between 1979 and 1982, Hitachi. As football approached Euro 88, more geometric styles began appearing on shirts. For the first time, street fashion and football kits started to cross over. As a result, replica kits started to be worn in and outside of stadiums. Buying a team shirt almost became a tradition for fans, some even buying a new one every single season. In 2021, German side Bayern Munich sold 3 million shirts. The 90s saw the return of loose-fitting shirts with collars, but it also introduced one of the most iconic shirts of all time. Brought to us by Adidas, Germany's 1990-92 home kit. The short-sleeved kit featured black, red and yellow stripes across the sleeves and chest. Loose shirts with long sleeves continued into the early 2000s, before being replaced by short-sleeved, body-tight shirts. And this brings us up to our present-day kits. From uncomfortable, thrown-together kits to the fashionable ones worn today, there is no doubt that football kits have changed immensely. Even if you walk down the street today, you might see many football kits being worn as fashion statements, a testament to how they have changed over the years. But the question we're all asking now is what's next? You've been listening to Molly on The Boot Room. Don't forget to check us out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, or for more content going behind the scenes of football, follow or subscribe.